Hi, I'm Mr. Payton. Welcome to my book review. Today I'm going to review my very first book, fourth grade. I wrote it way back in 2003. Didn't end up publishing it until 2010. And basically the story is that 2003 was at the end of my 5th year of teaching. I teach here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I don't know if you've ever felt like this, but I just felt full. Like there was just so much in me and I needed to get it out. And so I sat down on my computer and for a week I just wrote down everything I could think of that I had experienced. And I didn't have any notes or anything like that. I just looked at the class pictures from every year and the memory just came flowing. So from that came a book that I called Fourth Grade. The reason why I called it Fourth Grade is because for me, this book was part journal and part autobiography. And what I mean by that is coming out of college, they don't really tell you how to be an adult, for lack of a better way to put it. And so whatever your first job is, your first experience is out of college, you actually are becoming an adult and learning and growing as a human being. And so as I wrote fourth grade, I decided to use the metaphor of the grade levels that you go through in school. And so in staying with that theme, my introduction was called preschool. My first chapter was called kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, which was the 5th year of teaching, which is your 5th year of school if you start at kindergarten. So that was the idea. The idea was just to get it all out. I surprised myself. I never thought of myself as a writer or an author or anything like that, but it was just, to me, it was out of necessity. And I think most things that we do that end up going well, we do because we just feel like it needs to be done. And I'm no different in that. So to give you a little background about who I am and what I do for a living is I'm an educator, I'm a coach, I'm a counselor. And those things all kind of came naturally to me. When I started college, my initial goal was to become a civil engineer. Love math, love problem solving. But throughout that time, I found myself tutoring teammates, helping people with assignments, things like that. And so I remember when I met with my college counselor in my sophomore year, we were discussing, getting ready to take more calculus and more differential equations, starting to take some of my heavy science classes and things like that, and starting to get into some of the actual engineering courses. And I just decided at that time it was time to make a shift. I had consulted some of the mentors I had in my life at the time. Not everybody was all that supportive, but it was enough support for me to know that it was the right thing to do in my heart, and I've never looked back. So that was how I got into teaching. Teaching itself, man, for me, it has been a revelation. It's forced me to look at myself in terms of race. It's forced me to look at myself in terms of who I am as a man. And most importantly, it's forced me to look at myself in terms of my role as a human being on this planet. And so as I talk about this book, I want you to keep those ideas in mind in terms of my experiences, in terms of what my lessons were, or how I might interpret how each year changed me as a person, changed me as a teacher. And before I go any further, man, I just want to shout out a couple of students that I'm still in contact with. Several of the students that I write about in this book have reached out to me on social media. We still stay in contact, man. And I tell you right now, to all my former students out there, I would be nothing without you guys. You guys think that I was teaching you, and truly, you were teaching me. Anyone who teaches knows what I'm getting ready to say is the truest thing they'll ever think of. We learn so much more from them than they learn from us. Children have such an innocence and such an optimism about life. And sometimes as adults, we get bogged down with things like bills and our career and working with our colleagues. And for any of you that teach, you know that these kids can bring us right back to what's really important. So I hope you enjoy this book review. I'm going to go through each chapter. I just gave you a background to the introduction of the book and why I wrote it. And so I'm going to go one chapter at a time, explaining to you what I learned that year and what that chapter was basically about. I won't spoil the book for you because obviously I'd like you to take a look at the book. That would be great. But I will try to give you some insight to why I wrote and how that writing impacted my life.